Production. Let's get it.
Hello, it's me, Dr. Butler. To continue our chat on cardiovascular health, I would like to discuss metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is a cluster of conditions such as abdominal obesity, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high triglyceride, and low HDL that dramatically increases the risk of heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. These risks rise sharply during the menopausal stages because of hormonal shifts, especially declining estrogen. When we talk about the menopausal stages, most people think of hot flashes or mood swings, but there is a much deeper metabolic shift happening beneath the surface, one that directly affects our heart, brain, and long term health. It is called metabolic syndrome, and it's one of the most overlooked health risks for women in midlife. Even women who were totally healthy before menopause with normal weight, good labs, and an active lifestyle can suddenly find themselves gaining belly fat, watching their cholesterol rise, or develop high blood pressure for the first time. Having experienced this myself, I will discuss my weight loss journey during the menopausal stage in an upcoming video. Metabolic syndrome refers to a cluster of psychological changes that result from the declining estrogen and shifting hormone levels that increase the risk of developing it. The cluster of changes include central obesity or abdominal obesity, insulin resistance, elevated cholesterol, blood pressure, and fasting glucose. However, just having three of those factors qualifies us for metabolic syndrome, which is linked to increased risk of heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and cognitive decline. So, what causes metabolic syndrome? The root cause is usually a combination of genetics and lifestyle, but the primary driver is insulin resistance. In a healthy body, the digestive system breaks down the food into glucose. Insulin acts as like the key that lets the sugar into our cells be used as energy. With metabolic syndrome, our cells in our muscles, fat, and liver stop responding to the key. Our body then pumps out more insulin to compensate, which can eventually lead to high blood sugar and inflammation throughout the body. There are several reasons why our muscles, fat, and liver cells can respond inappropriately to insulin. This means they can't effectively take up the glucose from our blood or store it. This is insulin resistance. As a result, our pancreas makes more insulin to try to overcome the increasing blood glucose levels. If our bodies can't produce enough insulin to effectively manage our blood sugar, then the high blood sugar leads to prediabetics or type 2 diabetes. Metabolic syndrome is common in the United States, and approximately 1 in 3 adults suffer from it. The primary causes of the syndrome is in most individuals include unhealthy diet, insufficient physical activity, and a sedentary lifestyle, which all contribute to the increased body weight or obesity. Unfortunately, the menopausal stages increase the risk of metabolic syndrome because there are several metabolic changes that occurs, especially during perimenopause. During the menopausal stages, estrogen levels fall, triggering several metabolic changes, such as increased abdominal or varicose fat, which is linked to inflammation and heart disease, reduced insulin sensitivity, making blood sugar harder to control. It worsens cholesterol patterns, higher blood pressure due to stiffer blood vessels, and a loss of muscle mass, which slows down metabolism. Age related muscle loss and decreasing energy expenditure contributes to metabolic disruption. However, metabolic syndrome is underdiagnosed in women, especially during midlife when the spikes rise the most. So, how is it diagnosed? A healthcare provider will do a physical examination and order blood tests if they feel that you're at risk of having metabolic syndrome. The three blood tests that are ordered are the lipid panel, which includes four different kinds of cholesterol measurements. It measures your triglycerin, a basic metabolic panel, which measures eight substances in your blood and gives an overall view of your health, or a fasting glucose test that measures your blood sugar after 8 to 12 hours of fasting. So, how is metabolic syndrome treated? The main goal of treating metabolic syndrome are to lower the risk of heart disease and type 2 diabetes. Treatments can involve medication and or lifestyle changes. First, let's talk about the lifestyle changes. Maintaining or working towards a healthy weight. Studies show that about losing maybe 7% of excess body weight can reduce the incidence of type 2 diabetes by 58%. Participating in regular exercise, which helps combat insulin resistance, supports cardiovascular health, and it helps with weight loss. Next, eating heart healthy foods. Typically, people who suffer from metabolic syndrome highly recommended to avoid excessive amounts of carbohydrates, which stimulates the excess insulin production. Eating less unhealthy fats, sugar, red meats, and processed starches. Instead, it is recommended to follow a whole food diet, which includes more vegetables, fruits, whole grains, fish, and lean poultry. The Mediterranean diet is a perfect example of a heart healthy diet. We need to ensure that we're getting quality sleep. A lack of sleep and sleep disorders such as sleep apnea can exacerbate metabolic syndrome or contribute to its development. If you smoke, quit. Smoking, which is the leading cause of coronary artery disease, which was discussed in a previous episode. So if you haven't watched my video on cardiovascular, please check it out. Lastly, we must manage our stress. High levels of cortisol, which is the stress hormone, over long periods of time can increase cholesterol, blood sugar, and blood pressure. Finding strategies to manage your stress like exercise, yoga, mindfulness, breathing exercises, all topics that I have covered in previous episodes. That is going to help. Now, what medication can help manage metabolic syndrome? Cholesterol medication, blood pressure medication, or oral diabetes medication. Other medical procedures that have found to be helpful are bariatric surgery, sleep disorder treatments, or psychotherapy. Can you reverse metabolic syndrome? Yes, it is possible to reverse metabolic syndrome. Lifestyle changes can substantially improve our health. Medications can help as well. Your healthcare provider will find the best plan for you. Untreated metabolic syndrome increases the risk of heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and cognitive declines. Ignoring these signs is like ignoring the check engine light in your car because these conditions don't happen as obvious with obvious symptoms. You can't feel high cholesterol, you can't feel high blood sugar. Many people don't realize that they have it until a major health crisis occurs. Unfortunately, 1 in 7 women will develop metabolic syndrome by the time they reach their last menstrual cycle, even if you're metabolically healthy before. The good news is that it is reversible. Significant changes in your diet and physical activity can actually fix many of these markers and help us move out of the danger zone. Metabolic syndrome may be common, but it's not inevitable. It is not irreversible. Understanding what happens inside of our bodies during the menopausal transitions gives us power to take action early, protect long-term health, and advocate for ourselves that we deserve. Remember, these changes are not a personal failure, they're physiological shifts. And with the right lifestyle strategies, medical support, and awareness, we can dramatically reduce our risk and reclaim our metabolic health. So thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video.